Alright, welcome to Algebra lesson number 2, simplifying. So often we're given expressions with a lot of terms, and a lot of the time we can actually simplify those. So we can simplify those by finding like terms, and they are those with the same pronumeral factors, and that includes the powers as well. So for example, I can simplify a like term on this example on the left, 7ab and 4ab, because they both have the same pronumeral factors of a and b. So that's a positive 7ab, that's a positive 4ab. So that simplifies to 11ab. Now this 2 on the end, you might recall that it doesn't have any pronumeral factors, so that is a constant term. So that does not change, and that just stays on the end there. This right here, that is simplified version of that. We have just simplified that. That is done. Now on the right hand side, we have 2x squared and 3x. Now you might notice they both have x as a factor, except they don't have the same power. So this x here is squared and this x is to the power of 1. That's not written there, but any pronumeral without a power is just assumed it's to the power of 1. So they don't have the same pronumeral factor. So that expression is already simplified. We can't do anything with that. So pause the video now, try these couple by yourself, and I'll go through them. Okay, so first let's go through some strategies that you might be able to use. When I'm given an expression and I'm told to simplify it, I like to highlight or circle in a different color those factors that are common with each other, or the terms that have common factors, so like terms. So here we've got AB. They're all to the same power, so that 7AB is a like term with negative 4AB. Notice how I included the negative there, because if I don't include the negative and I go to combine those later, that will change the equation completely. And all I'm left with is negative 4a and positive 7b. So there's nothing I can really do there. They don't have any common pronumeral factors. So I can only join these like terms here. So we've got 7ab, take 4ab, which is equal to 3ab, and then I just add the rest on. 4a plus 7b. Now going down to my next one, again, highlight your common, your like terms, pardon me. So 3x, there's an x there. Now, this 2x squared, that is not a like term because that x is to the power of 2. So that is not a like term with these other x terms. Negative 5x is a like term though. So highlight that. And positive 3x is a like term. Then we're just left with a y. There's not much we can do there. And now we've got 3x, take 5x, that's negative 2x, plus 3x, that leaves us with 1x. And we can just write that as x. And then we just add in the rest that we haven't done. Plus 2x squared, plus y. Now typically we will write those terms with pronumeral factors to a higher order. So for example, this 2x squared, we'll write that first because it's squared and the others are just to the power of 1. It doesn't make it any less correct here, but it's just a bit more proper if you do write 2x squared plus x plus y. So they equal the same thing, just written in a different order. Now this last one, again, highlight your like terms. So a positive 2b, that is like with negative 3b. And grab a different color, we've got a positive y. and a positive y. So that's just 1y and 1y. Now, although this term in here has 3ABY, it has the combination of those, but we can't actually combine those with any of the other terms, 7A, 2B, any of those, because it's all 3 times together. But we can combine the other ones we've highlighted. So let's go 2B minus 3B, that's negative 1B, or we can just write negative B. And then y plus y is plus 2y. And then we were left with our terms that we couldn't find any like ones for, plus 7a plus 3abby. Alright, hopefully you got those correct. So when we look at multiplying terms, this sentence says we deal with the numerals and the pronumerals separately. So your numerals are obviously your numbers, and your pronumerals are your letters, X, Y, and A. So we can't actually times these together because you can't times a number by a letter until you substitute a value in for the number. So what we have to do, pull these out, deal with your numerals over here, deal with your pronumerals over that way. So 4x times 6y times 2a, deal with your numerals separately. 4 times 6 times 2. 4 times 6 is what? Yep. 24, and then 24 times 2 is, it is 48. Then, over this side, we're dealing with our pronumerals. X times y times a. There's nothing we can do to that, x times y times a, because we haven't been given a number to substitute in. So now, the answer is just 48, and that comes from over here. 48 a x y. Does anyone know why I changed the order of those? Alphabetical. It doesn't matter what order you time something. As long as they are all next to each other, it's all the same. If I say 2 times 3, what is it? 6. If I say 3 times 2, what is it? Doesn't matter what order, it'll equal the same thing every time. So does everyone have a bit of an understanding of how we deal with questions like that now? Just pull all the numbers out, pull the letters out, times the numbers by each other, put the letters next to each other, and you're done. Has everyone got that copied down? No. I'll give you a bit of time now. To the next slide. So when we multiply our terms, we deal with the numerals and the pronumerals separately. So the numerals being the numbers and the pronumerals being the letters that go with them, or the numerals being the coefficients. And then it's just a basic multiplication problem. So let's deal with our numerals first. So let's bring all our numerals over this side. And then that turns into 4 times 6 times 2. And let's bring all our pronumerals over this side. Now that turns into x times y times a. Let's look at the green. 4 times 6 is 24, and 24 times 2 is 48. And x times y times a is just xya, or if you want to write it more correctly, it's axy because it's in alphabetical order. So axy. Because remember in algebra we have those little invisible multiplication signs in between those letters. Okay, here's 2 multiplication problems that you can try yourself. Pause the video, give those a go. I'll quickly run through them when you get back. And we are back. So let's work through these problems. Remember to deal with your numerals and pronumerals separately. In this case, we've got 2 and 8 are our numerals. So 2 times 8 is 16. And then we're just left with A. That left side is done. Now over on the right side, our numerals are 3 and 6, or 6 and 3. 6 times 3 is 18. And then we have some pronumerals to deal with. Pronumerals are x and y. X times y is just xy. So now our answer for that is 18xy. Hopefully you got those ones right as well. Lesson 3, we're going to be looking at simplifying fractions.